Hello there. Welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. As you have likely guessed by now, my name is Denise Alvarez, and I have the honor of being your host here on the podcast. And I also have the honor of helping horse business owners through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, where I help business owners like you convert your website visitors into your customers through coaching, website design, and content, as well as email marketing strategy. My goal, whether it's through the podcast or through those one-on-one services, is to help you build a sustainable horse business so that you can be out in the barn doing really what you love to do. Because here's the thing, I know that marketing is fun for some people, but I also know that lots of people don't enjoy it, or at least don't get excited about it. And so that's why I created this podcast, to help break marketing down by using some step-by-step strategies and basic how-tos so that you can see what's possible for your business, but also so that I can help get you there through this process and through this podcast and help you to make it happen. Now, let's be real, friends, okay? While you're in the horse business, most likely because you love horses, right? I mean, I know that's why I decided to serve horse business owners. And so I know that being with horses brings you joy. Yet, I know that there are some parts of your business that most likely don't bring you that much joy. Now, in this case, I'm actually not talking specifically about marketing. I'm talking about just the fact that you wear many, many hats as a business owner, and you have many responsibilities and things that are on your shoulders. So whether you're talking about operations and managing a schedule for a lesson barn, to HR and hiring practices, or maybe your bookkeeping or accounting or scheduling to have your vet or your farrier, all the different things, you never know what's ahead for your day, right? And while I know that usually that's pretty great, I also know that for many of you that can just be downright overwhelming sometimes. So here's what I want you to remember. In the midst of this overwhelm, you and I both get to choose how we're going to respond as business owners. And that's really true for all challenges that come our way, right? We don't get to choose the challenge, but we do get to choose our response. Sometimes, though, we get overwhelmed and we're unsure of where to start. With so much on your plate, oftentimes you may be distracted, or maybe you're just plain frozen, not knowing what to do next. And so that's why I'm put together this podcast for you today. I want to share with you some of the best advice I've heard as it relates to responding to a challenge or even a crisis as a business owner. Now, this advice is going to help you continue to move the needle forward with your business, which is what you want to do, right? You want to do that well. You want to make progress and keep moving forward. Now, especially what we have looked at in this past year. So when I'm recording this right now, it's literally been a year since things started to shut down here in the United States and in many places across the world. And I know that 2021 hasn't exactly been all the way back to normal business as usual, right? I mean, I know it varies place to place, but I don't know many places that are back to business as usual. So here you go. The best advice that I've heard that's going to help you when you feel overwhelmed and help you face the challenges ahead is to choose 3 things that you're going to do in the next 7 days that will help you to move your business forward. And you're going to write those down so that you see them and you act on them each day. Now, I know it seems simple, but really there's something beautiful and effective about simplicity, right? Because this allows us to focus on what really matters and to remove the distractions and the feelings of overwhelm. When you get clear on what's most important and what's really going to help you meet the goals for your business and for your family, then it's a lot easier to see through the mud, the muck, and the mire of the everyday. We can then see where we're going, and then we can figure out the necessary steps to get there, right? And I want that for you. Now, it's important when you make this list of 3 things that you don't just list the regular to-do items that are already on your list. So I'm not looking for you to create a regular to-do list like cleaning out your emails, returning phone calls, scheduling the vet, scheduling the farrier. Those are all super important, but I'm talking here about the real needle movers for your business, the things that only you as a business owner can do. So I want you to really think strategically about those things. Now, as you do that and other things come to mind that you know aren't the real biggies for the next 7 days, but they're important, I totally say write those down, but have a separate piece of paper. So I don't want you to sit there and be overwhelmed and not have a place to put that. So have a piece of paper that's for your big 3 items, or at least, list out your top 8 and then narrow it down if you need to. And then have another piece of paper that basically I'll call your brain dump. So all the things that come to mind, all the to-do items as you're sitting there, dump those there so that you can deal with those and figure out a plan of action. But right now, I want you to just write those big 3 things that if you can get these 3 things done in the next 7 days, then you know you're going to be making progress on your big goals for your business. Now, here's the thing, writing it down really does make you feel better. So that brain dump piece of paper really is important. Now, if you need some help getting to the strategic things that should be on your list for those big 3 items, I've got some questions for you to ask yourself that are going to help you get there, okay? The first question to ask is, what goals did you start the year with as it relates to your business? How might they need to be adjusted now? Or what can you do in the next 7 days to help you meet them? Now, you know that I love to talk about goals, and in case we are new friends here on the podcast, I have another episode for you to listen to. In episode number 13 at the beginning of this year, 2021, we had the 5 powerful steps to set goals that will keep you motivated all year long. So if you need a goals refresher, or maybe if you haven't set goals yet this year or haven't done that in a while, or you'd like to do a quarterly checkup, then make sure you go back and listen to episode number 13. And of course, I will provide that link for you in the show notes as well. And there is also a goal setting cheat sheet that goes along with that episode. And so I'll make sure and link to that in the show notes also. So you can go to stormlily.com/25 for those show notes, and you'll be able to get those links and listen very easily. All right. Now, back to our question. What goals did you set as it relates to your business? So setting goals and then setting them to the side are really not going to get you where you want to go. So maybe you did set some goals starting out the year, but then the day-to-day of just life, owning a business, running a family, all of those things have kind of moved those off to the side, and you don't see them as regularly, but they're kind of in the back of your mind. So instead, I want you to think about regularly visiting your goals. Have a day of the month maybe that you just, a day of the week even, you just check them out. Remind yourself what you're working towards. And when you're feeling overwhelmed, you can go back to those goals, and it's going to help you to filter out all of those to-do items and figure out what's most important. Again, what are the things that only you can do? And how are those things going to help you to meet your goals? Okay, and that is leading us to our second question that's going to help you find your big 3 items. And that question is, are there specific things that you can or should do to care for your team well? Now, this one might surprise you. I'm telling you to look outward while dealing with your own overwhelm. Because here's the thing. When we're overwhelmed, it's easy to have a one-track mind and to think about all the things on your plate. But if you have a team of even one person that is helping you out or that you're responsible for, it's important that you keep that responsibility of leadership front and center also. So meeting your goals from that first question is going to be pretty hard to do if you're not leading and caring for your team well. And again, even if you have a team of 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, or 20, sometimes you might actually be overwhelmed because you're not leading well. Maybe one of your 3 things that you need to do in the next 7 days is to look at that brain dump list and then get with your team and make a plan together and see what are some things that they can do. And that is actually our next question. So first of all, consider your team. How can you be serving them well? And then the next question is, what has been on your list that actually shouldn't be? What's on your list that you could actually trust to someone else? Or maybe just needs to be removed entirely? Oftentimes, leaders or business owners are overwhelmed because they're taking it all on. They're wearing it all on their shoulders. And oftentimes, it's a control issue, let's be real. And you think that you're the only one that can do it right. But sometimes you just need to trust somebody else to do it and train them up so that they can take on that responsibility. And sometimes you just need to stop doing it. I actually heard one time at a leadership forum this idea of doing an annual stop doing list. So often we think of to-do list. And so we just keep piling and piling things onto our to-do list. But have you ever stopped to consider if there's anything that you do out of habit that actually doesn't have to be done anymore? Or maybe that somebody else could do just as well. So you need to stop doing it so that somebody else can. When you're able to take things off of your list, then you can focus on the tasks and responsibilities that we talked about, the ones that only you can do. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to be willing to get in and get your hands or your boots dirty and do what needs to be done, because we know that you're here on this podcast because that's who you are. You do what needs to be done. It just means that when you're overwhelmed, you understand it's time to take a step back and evaluate how you're spending your time and if it's really helping you reach the goals that you have for your business, for your life, and for your family. Now, I hear you, and you may be saying, all right, Denise, this idea of writing 3 important things down that I'm going to focus on, yeah, that sounds great in theory, but I have so many things going on in my mind. I can hardly figure out 3 things just for my business. What about the family? What about the kids? What about life in general? And if that's you, then I would say make a top 3 list for those main categories, the ones that matter the most for you when you're feeling overwhelmed. Now, of course, you want this to be doable. So if you go from a list of 3 things and then you have 6 categories and you're putting a list of 3 under each of those, I think you're probably going to be back to that overwhelmed feeling and you're probably not going to accomplish what you set out to do. So remember, we're aiming for what you can accomplish in the next 7 days to keep you moving forward. This is what you're focusing on right now in the next 7 days to get rid of that overwhelmed feeling. What do I need to focus on? Now, I know you've probably heard it before, but I don't think it can be said too much. You're not alone. And you can do this, all right? So if you're not a member of my How to Market Your Horse Business Facebook group, we have a community there that will support you, and you guys can encourage each other. So you can join that at any time. Just go to stormlily.com/group. Of course, I'll have it in the show notes for you too. So you're not alone, and I know that you can do this because you can do hard things. You are a hardworking business owner, and you've got this. So just start with your 3 things for the next 7 days, and then go and do them. And then a week from now, put it on your calendar, and if you need to, you start a new list. And before you know it, you're going to have made some major progress. All right, I'm excited to hear what your 3 things are. So send me a message on Instagram, send me a message on Facebook, shoot me an email, denise@stormlily.com. Let me know what you're going to be focusing on. That can be your way of having some accountability, and I'd love to hear from you. All right, that's all I've got for you today. I will see you here again next week. Always remember, I've got those show notes for you. So if you were listening to this as you were driving or as you were mucking out stalls, then just jump on over to stormlily.com/25 at any time, and you'll see a list of those questions. And then I'll have that link to the goal setting podcast as well as that free goal setting cheat sheet also. So if you have any questions about this or marketing at all, please always let me know. I love to hear from you. If you need help with your website or your email marketing strategy, or you'd love some business coaching, some one-on-one, then just let me know. I'd love to visit with you about that as well. So you can learn all about that at stormlilymarketing.com. Okay, friends, again, I'm so glad that you're here. I look forward to visiting with you each week and sharing some practical and doable marketing strategies to help you move your horse business forward. So until then, I'll see you later.